got an issue with the machine that I have to take care of. Actually, I've got a couple. My son and I was working on it, and inadvertently he put his weight on the head while it was swinging, and he was trying to climb to the top of the machine, kind of used it as a ladder, and it broke that hinge. We've gotten our piece of metal milled for our hinge. I'm also going to need my handy lathe because I need to drill some holes through this block. We're not ready to go any further with this until we get our machines set up and the jig set up that we need to do this work. Hello, this is Jeff Erdman with E.D.S. Inc. Shandon, and we're going to start doing another little video. We're still working on the hinge. We've got a little bit of work to do yet. I'm setting up a backing plate so that I can run that part on my handy lathe. So that's what we're going to be working on tonight. So we'll have a little bit of lathe work if I get this thing running right. So that's what we're going to focus on. And once I get this up and running, then I'll tune you on in, and we'll go from there. Well, I've got my plate in here, and what I'm trying to do is cut a round out of a square. So what I've done is I found my center. I marked it in 3 spots, cut it so that the jaws will hold it. Because it's a 3-jaw chuck, and now what I'm trying to do is cut down to my chuck and the round center part. So I've been having a little bit of a problem. I don't have that many tips. Well, I have quite a few, but none that'll really work well. So we're just kind of experimenting here, and so we'll see what happens. So take you in there to watch that action. Okay, there we go. Okay, we put a new tip in, and this seems to be cutting a little bit better. Got a little bit of the spot left right here. I'll pull that out so you can see it. Okay, we've got a little flat spot just above the knife here. We almost got it round all the way around here. It's got a pretty nice finish on there. So this is the only little spot right here. This is the only flat spot I've got. I think one more cut and I'll have that cut out of there. And we'll be smooth all the way around. Then I'll be able to flip this thing over, put this side in the jaws, and we'll trim the other side up to meet it. And we'll have successfully turned a square plate into a round plate. And I'm going to be using this for a mounting plate for my, when I go to mount the hinge, I'm going to put this in on the milling machine. We're going to drill a bunch of holes in here so that this will be like a mounting plate I can use to mount stuff up to it. And so anyway, let me go ahead and we'll cut this one more time. And well, we got that round. I'll bring it back up on her. You can see the plate here. Got about a 1/2 inch round section of it from here to here. Well, you can't see that, can you? Hang on. Pull back a little bit. Use this as a pointer. So what we've taken is about a 1/2 inch from here to here, and I've got about 7/16 of an inch on this side that's in the chuck. So I'm going to flip this over and I'll chuck the round side now into the chuck, and then I'll be able to cut this back to this dimension. So that's what I'm going to try to do. I'll probably use I'm thinking I might try to use a cutoff tool for that. We'll see when I flip it over. Probably not going to do that tonight. It's getting late, and took me too long to get everything set up here. But what I did is I had a square plate here. This was initially square. I lobbed off the corners of it. Then I found I divided the plate into thirds, so I'd know where each one of the jaws were going to be. I made a circumference so that I could see this round on the plate. So when I laid it out so I could see this round, and then I could see where each of the jaws were. So where each of the jaws were, I would cut a flat, and so that the jaw could clamp onto that flat. Now the jaws are kind of obviously they're designed to hold round stock. So the jaws really only here and here against the material. So it's not the best way to hold something, but tighten the jaws down real nice and tight, and it seemed to do an okay job for me. So we got this puppy done. Nice, real nice finish on there. And now she's ready to flip over, face the other side, and then trim off the balance of this. So that's what we'll be doing, but not tonight. Okay, we flipped the plate around. The round side is to the inside, and the square side is to the outside. We've set our cutter to the same location as this. Hopefully we'll finish up maybe a thousandths to the outside of the round, and then we'll just finish it up. So once we cut through this, I've got a parting tool in here. Hopefully that'll do a good job. I have a box that's filled with all sorts of tooling, but none of it was really for this size. I'm going to bring you in here. Okay, so this is the parting tool here. Now, this was part of the lot of tools that I had in a box that I got with this lathe. And this is a new tool post holder, quick change tool post holder. I'm not totally happy with it. It's not as rigid as I would like, but at any rate, the tools that it holds are only up to about a ½ an inch in thickness. And so this was actually this full width, which is close to 3/4. So I had to trim it down. So I had to cut the tool in my dual so that it will fit this holder. This has got a parting tip on it, and so we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring that on in and cut that faceplate with it. So I first have to oil up the machine, so I'll do that and then we'll get on with this. We've got the lathe running. I'm going to back you out a little bit. Go ahead and start bringing it in. Okay, what I've done is I've ground a little hollow here at the tip of the cutoff tool and the carbide, and then I honed it back again. So now we're going to see how this cuts in comparison to the last honing I did, to see if it does any better. So hopefully we got a little bit of a chip breaker going on here, and I think what's happening, I may have to come back and grind this back at more of an angle, because as this goes in, the rest of this is going to wedge against the cut. And since I'm not cutting straight in, I'm cutting something that has a circumference to it. So it may be that I have to take more off of this. I hope not, because I want to keep my tool steady. But at any rate, we're going to try to cut this again. So join me as we turn on the machine and go at it. Okay, what I've done, I've ground this back so that there's less width. So because if we can get my hand in here the right way, this side was sticking out further, and so it was getting caught in a circle as it cut, because the arch was greater than the width of this, even though I tried to double cut it, and so that was causing some problems here. Also, you might be able to see this tip here. I kind of hollowed this front end a little bit, and then I honed this up and honed this face. So hopefully that'll have the tendency to dig a little bit more metal out and do a nicer cut. So we'll see what happens. Another thing that I've done is I've lowered the part in here so it's cutting lower. So that way the arch is moving away from it at a greater degree than up here. And hopefully that will give me a better cut. I'm not sure. That's just my theory. I'm not a machinist, obviously. So we're going to see what we can do here. We're going to put her back in, wind her up, and see if we can make another cut that's maybe a little bit better than our last one. It's all experimenting. I'm dealing with what I have, trying to, with the tooling that I have. We've only got about 1/8 of an inch left to cut. Let's pull back here a little ways. By here, we've got about 1/8 of an inch left to cut on this piece, and then we'll be through. That bit seems to do much better now. I'll get some of these chips up here so you can see them. It was doing that one cut there that was just beautiful. And you can see those are some nice pretty chips, right? Whoops, get my hand in there so you can focus on them. There we go. Everything's backwards when you're facing the camera. At any rate, you can see that those chips all have a nice shape, and that's what I was initially getting out of that. So I'm pretty happy with that. I sharpened that up pretty well, I think. So a lot better than what I started out with, I can tell you. Boy, it was just little teeny shavings that were real sharp. Hardly much of a chip. So I'm going to go ahead and go back up to speed here. Got a round part. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Okay. A little span out. And you can see that face now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to face this off. We're going to clean that up. And then we'll I cut this side a little bit narrow, unfortunately, but we'll work on it. Okay, so I'm going to spin this thing around, put a facing tool on it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and that's not what I want. Center drill it. We'll get another bit and we'll bring this back.
E.D.S in Shandon has reached 100 subscribers. I do not see why that is. It's a boring channel with a terrible editor that breaks tools like myself. No, I will not have it. I will destroy their precious channel and everything they work so hard to achieve. Vengeance will be.
Oh man, Lathe, what are we going to do? That evil milling machine is going all over the media. Hey, where are you going? What are you doing? Ordering aluminum? What are you going to do that Lathe, what are you planning on building with all that? Oh, yes!